Hey y'all, it's your girl Dee from That's Just TMI. Welcome back. We've got Sir Dre here. And before I get to my guest, and before we get into this topic, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That's right, like, share, comment, and subscribe. We've got Dr. Tanisha Lambert here with us today. And we're going to talk a little bit about health and medicine and COVID and the vaccine and being Black in this profession. So let me tell you a little bit about her before we get started. So Dr. Lambert received her degree at Loma Linda University and is a family physician with a master's in lifestyle medicine. I want to know what lifestyle medicine is. I don't think I know what it is. She's passionate about promoting good health through dietary choices, exercise, and stress management, which a lot of us need now because of COVID. She has her own practice, and she's a strong believer in people care, recognizing that health conditions encompass physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual aspects. In her spare time, she likes to spend time with her family. She enjoys cooking, reading, and binge watching Netflix. Woohoo! She's a proud mom of Naomi and is happily married to her husband, Akira. Welcome, Dr. Lambert.
All right.
You seem very excited.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, this is great. Fantastic. So I'm going to ask the first question. Can I just do this? I want to know, like, your background out there in Loma Linda. Where do you come from? What's your background?
So, I mean, now my background is Jamaican. I was born in Canada. I was born in Toronto.
Okay.
To two lovely Jamaican parents. So my mom is from Manchester, and my father, who has passed away now, but he was from Clarendon.
Okay.
So the two neighboring parishes.
Yeah.
And I have been going to Jamaica since I was 9 months old.
Oh,
so they can't really blame me for wanting to claim it. I've been going there very frequently, and I've lived in country with grandma for the summer and all of that. So it's nice. You know,
Nice.
I love that island. I love
nice. Yeah, no, Jamaica's a pretty place, man.
Yeah,
Real pretty place. Yeah.
So, what made you decide to be a doctor? Why did you choose this field?
So yes, I wanted to be a doctor since I was very young. And the youngest I was 6 years old when my grandparents, which are my mom's parents, used to be my patients because they used to live with us. So I'd take my little doctor kit in their bedroom every night, and my sister would be my assistant. And we'd do a checkup and check heart and lungs and everything, and then sometimes give the occasional injection if they needed it.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to take care of people. That's always been something that I've wanted to do. When I was kind of 10, 11, 12, like in my preteen, early teen years, my mom and dad own a hair salon and barbershop downtown. So I was actually thinking of going into the family business.
Oh, nice.
But my mom said, no, you've been talking about being a doctor for so long. Just go for it. So I ended up going for it. And here I am. Ta-da.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. Now, I know that this is not a medical question, but I am curious since you said that your parents own the business downtown, because one of the things we've talked about at different times during TMI is Black businesses. Now, what's the name of the business? Are they still open?
So yes. So it used to be a hair salon and barbershop.
Yeah.
The hair salon has closed down because my mom has retired, but my brother took over the barbershop.
Oh, nice.
And it's called Lloyd's Barbers.
Lloyd's
It's
Barber.
right at Bathurst and Bloor. We've been there for, my gosh, like 40 years. It'll be 42 years this year.
Yeah.
And my brother is holding it down through pandemic or not. He's doing well and keeping the business strong. Big up Lennox. Hi, bro. So go get a fresh cut, man. Go get a fresh cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel like I've been there at least once or twice when I was younger, because my doctor, his name was Dr. Fogel. He used to be in the Bloor Medical Clinic, if you know that area well.
Yes,
Right across
yes.
the street from the station there.
From the
Big up.
station. Yes, yes. So very popular.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Vogel used to work with Dr. Rose, who was in that same medical building.
Maybe,
So
because he used to be out of Mount Sinai Hospital, Dr. Fogel was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that was my pediatrician or family doctor when we were kids. So
when you were a kid. Right?
Yeah, so I know that neighborhood. I even know the beef patties that we used to get. After you go through the turnstile, you turn right, and there it is right there. Boom.
Right there. Yes, yes.
2 patties for $1 in those days. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Now you pay like
so far from that price.
oxtail money for patties. So I don't know. I've kind of changed diet and stuff, so it's okay. Wow, that's incredible. So good. So you come from a background of entrepreneurs and people that are cutting edge, because here's the reality. In those days, there weren't like tons of Black businesses down there at the core in the city of Toronto. So that's actually really cool. So your brother's holding it down now, and that's good. And I hope that during this pandemic, he's continuing to thrive, because it's good to have Black businesses.
Yeah. Check them out.
Yeah.
Lloyd's Barbers. It's good.
That's amazing.
So let's go back to this thing then. In terms of you wanting to be, what was it, like a general practitioner? Like, did you have a specific thing that you wanted to do, or did this kind of evolve after a while?
So it did actually evolve after a while, because originally I was kind of thinking I would want to do something more like dermatology to pair it with cosmetology and integrate the kind of hairstyling and esthetician part of things into the practice of medicine. But the more I looked into the different specialties, the more I felt that it was very hard for me to focus on the one part. Like specialists are very good at focusing on that specific organ and giving great care and specialized care for a specific organ.
Yeah.
But it was hard for me to kind of block out all of the biological, the psychological, the social, the spiritual aspects that were interplaying with the health concern. So I realized that family medicine was somewhere where I could bring all of those different factors into one spot. And that ended up being the specialty for me.
So are you in like a private practice on your own? Do you have a bunch of like doctor friends where you guys have like opened a clinic together? Like, what does that look like for your practice?
Right. So I have a solo practice in Mississauga. That's not a popular way to practice these days, because it's usually larger physician groups. I graduated from Loma Linda University in the States, though. So all of the people that I graduated with or potentially could have started a clinic with, they're all in the States or off somewhere else in the world. I was only one of the few that came back to Canada to practice. And so I got back here 2013-ish, but through working through walk-in clinics and things, saving up my pennies, I was able to start this practice, the solo practice, which focuses on the lifestyle medicine that Didi mentioned in my intro. Lifestyle medicine, I think, was exactly my calling. It's a new field of medicine that just has recently developed over the past 10, 15 years, now 15, 20. Yeah, age myself, but yeah. But really, lifestyle medicine focuses on not just prescribing the medications for high blood pressure or diabetes or cholesterol, but it also looks at the food that you're eating, the exercise, the way that exercise can improve your health, the way that stress management interplays with your health, the way that sleep interplays and improves your health, even the way that relationships interplay and improve your health, as well as addictions, right? So that practice of medicine, I say it's new, but I think it's something that's very needed, especially in our world today, because we're just so busy and caught up that, a lot of the times we're looking for a quick fix, but we really need to kind of get back to basics and work on those building blocks, right? The diet, the sleep, the exercise, and all of that.
That's absolutely true. So I want to know what keeps you motivated. What wakes you up each morning? And we know God wakes you up, but like what gives you that drive so that you go into work and you're like, I'm gonna keep doing this, and be that role model for other Black millennials or even younger children who want to be a doctor and have their own practice.
Right. So that's a really good question, man. Um, I would say that my motivation is multifactorial because I think now since I have a daughter, Naomi, I want her to see that she can do anything, especially in a world that imposes certain limitations and says, well, you're a little Black girl, so you should maybe do this, or you should maybe do that, and looking back on my own childhood, I didn't really feel all of those impositions on me and those limitations.
Yeah.
But that was the work of my parents. They worked very hard to make sure that we didn't feel limited as their children. They encouraged us to reach for the highest potential. So she is a big motivating factor for me. I think in terms of medicine, being able to see how small changes that people make in their lives change their whole outlook, and it changes their emotional health, their mental health, that's really fulfilling to me. So when I have a patient come and tell me, hey, I lost 2 kilograms because I changed my diet, I am absolutely thrilled. Like, go girl, you lost 4 pounds? Hallelujah. Keep up the good work. Eat those vegetables. Right? And it's really incremental change and encouragement and empowerment that helps people. And I just love that. I'm jazzed about that.
So maybe just as a follow-up then, maybe I want to state one of the obvious questions, right? So you are a Black woman of Caribbean descent.
Yeah.
And when I look around at all the signs on the different buildings, medicine still seems to be more of a male-dominated type of industry. That's number one. But then number two, Black people or people of color. I won't say minority. I recently had a conversation with somebody, and so I'm moving away from calling Black people people of minorities. But from Loma Linda to here, what has that looked like? I would imagine that there's more people like you at Loma Linda. I've been out there a few times in terms of students and so on and so forth. But Canada, Ontario, Mississauga, that's a different beast altogether. How have you found that journey in navigating something that's usually maybe pretty male dominated? And if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. But how have you navigated through that as a Black doctor, female?
Right. So I would actually say that, being a person of color and female you feel that effect very young. So I know that, in elementary school, my sister and I have a twin sister, so we were in the same grade. In elementary school, there were times where my mother and father wanted us to be tested for special programs like the gifted program, etc., but there were a lot of barriers there. So they found ways to navigate around that, and they found ways to supplement our education. But then when it came to high school and I was preparing to go to university for scientific courses and to focus on really guiding my path to medicine, you notice that there's not a lot of people of color in your classes. So I would say in my senior year of high school, I was one one black person in my class.
Wow.
And there were other people of color, but we were really the minority. So going into university now, I ended up being in the chemistry program. And really, out of the class of 20 that was in, it was a very small class, three of us were black. We were all female.
Right.
And it it wasn't it wasn't an overt disregard for us, but it was just something that was done, like without the knowing, you know, that unconscious bias. So like in one particular instance, I remember my friend had won, you know, the highest student award. They came in, they said her name and said, "We're looking for such and such a student." And you should have seen the surprise on their face when she stood up and was like, "Yeah, that's me." Yeah. So, I mean, those are the kinds of things that you see growing up where you're like, huh, okay. But you kind of keep going. And then getting to Loma Linda was awesome. It was great to see. There was a lot of people of Caribbean descent there.
Right. Yeah.
I got to meet my Jamaican contingent, big up the California posse, hi. And you know, they were all PhDs. They were applying to medicine. They all had a research background. It was amazing. But it was in my med school class, again, out of 166 students, there were 11 of us that were in that class. And then finally at graduation, I think about just over 100 of us graduated, but then that number, that 11, went down to 6. So it was 6 people that graduated, both male and female Black students. And so you can see that shrinking, right? And then in the States now, the current statistics are that less than 2% of physicians are Black females. So legit, you're really trying to forge a pathway and be a good example for the people coming up behind you so that you can have the doorways open for them and encourage them to come on through and do what they want to do and do what is necessary. Right. Because if we're not represented within the health field, a lot of our issues get ignored, right?
Yeah. Wow, thanks for that answer.
Yeah, I know that was well said, and that was actually eye-opening because I would not have thought that there were so few of you, if that even makes sense. I don't know why maybe I just think that there's just so many more doctors that are out there that are Black and female, but wow. But I like what you said. You mentioned, you know, you are setting this path and opening these doors so that those behind you can maybe have a foot in an easier way or recognize that, you know what, someone else has done it. Here I am. I'm going to follow suit. And that's empowering in and of itself.
That's the goal.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Doc.
No, I was just saying that's the goal, because there are still a lot of glass ceilings that we're hitting here and there, but no, we just gotta keep it pushing. You gotta keep it pushing and keep bringing the people along the way, bringing our people.
So since you've now said that one of the things that you're doing is trailblazing, right? And again, we celebrate your accomplishments. I mean, right now you may think I'm only a drop in a bucket, but a full bucket starts with a drop, right? So here's the thing. I find that we don't always know what the journey looks like. So, I mean, you kind of consolidated it kind of quickly, but I think that this next generation that's coming up, they're smart, they're intelligent, and they're also Canadian to some degree, which means that they're beginning to be able to navigate the system. Can you take us on a quick walk, maybe of your journey? And maybe if your journey is the journey, then that's fine. But maybe to like some young Black boy or young Black woman or any other person that would like to learn or study to be a doctor, show us how you kind of went and then you arrived to here. Like, what does it look like? Chemistry, biology, math, like teach us a little bit about what it took to get you here.
Okay, so it's a great question too, because there are many different avenues to go. I would say at the front, before you even start on the path, make sure you are passionate about medicine. Okay, there's a lot of shine and sparkle added to it, saying why ya big time doctor and all of that. And really, when it comes when you're down to the grind, you are still at work, late hours. You are not making a whole heap of money. You're not starving, but you're not making a whole heap of money. And you really need to be driven by passion and not finance. Okay,
Right.
so medicine is it's really more of like a calling. I think the people who feel called to medicine
Yeah.
or very passionate about it usually do a lot better. So make sure it is something that you're passionate about. So that's one. Number two, I think my pathway to medicine was fairly straightforward.
Okay.
I would say, in high school, I did all of my science courses. I did the prerequisites to get into a science program at McMaster. Big up McMaster University. So I ended up going to McMaster, but initially I had applied for this very fancy health science program, which was supposed to be geared towards getting you on a path to medicine, and it didn't work out. I didn't make it into the program. It was their first year that they had it, and they just said, nope. Welcome to the general science program, though. So I said, all right. So I'm going to general sciences. And I did that for the first year. And then in the second year, they said, why don't you do chemistry? And, originally I thought, well, what's chemistry got to do with medicine? It's got nothing to do. But really, again, this is kind of where you need to trust God a bit in terms of the direction of where you're going, because it turns out that even though chemistry is not directly related to medicine, the class sizes were so small, and it teaches you a lot of analytical thinking and critical thinking that it really is a very good preparation for medicine or, industrial work or whatever you want to do with chemistry. So I'm thankful that I actually did the chemistry program, which is very helpful. So I did 4 years of the undergraduate university degree. And then you start doing your MCATs and applying to different med schools. So you can do your MCATs, which is a medical testing, a general testing that you do for entrance into medical school. So you can do that as early as 3rd year of university. So I did it 3rd year and my grades weren't that good. So I waited till 4th year and repeated the test. They were good. And so I applied to the universities that I thought would be good fits for medical school. Now, for my application process, I kept the list very small because these things cost money. You have to travel to the different interviews. So I ended up applying at McMaster, Loma Linda, and Howard University, and ended up being able to get into Loma Linda after doing the interview process and all of that. So again, you do the MCAT score, you do the MCAT test, and that's one hurdle that you have to jump. The other hurdle is those interviews, the med school interviews, because they really want to know your drive and what brought you into medicine. And that's where you need to really be able to galvanize your personal story to make it individual and make yourself stand out. So, in my case, I talked about my childhood. I talked about how health is really important in our family. And you have to go beyond the "I want to help people" statement, right? Because most people get into medicine because they want to help people, right? What we want to do. But we need to know what makes your experience,
Different.
your
Yeah.
personal
Yeah.
experience different, right?
Yeah.
Great. So then med school, here you are, you get blasted with the fire hose of knowledge. That's for 4 years.
Yeah.
You survive, and then in your last year, you apply to residency programs. In my case, it was family medicine and preventive medicine, which is a dual program where you can eventually be double board certified. Um, Preventive medicine is not a big deal up here in Canada, so I didn't end up getting board certified in that, just family medicine.
Mm-hmm.
But that also added on a master's in public health where you get to expand your knowledge a bit. So residency essentially is the experience that you get in a hospital and interacting with patients under the supervision of experienced doctors who will teach you, guide you, and show you the way so that at the end of the residency, you are able to come out and practice on your own.
Right.
So after completion of residency, you are free to go ahead and work. You can stay in a university setting and work. You can work in a community setting. You can work with insurance companies. You can start your own practice. You can join an existing practice. Lots of options.
That's amazing.
Okay, so
I didn't even know about the insurance option. So.
yes, you can do physicals for insurance. You can interpret lab results. You can deny claims. You can approve claims.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us
Lots
have
of
the
things.
idea that if you're a doctor, you're either in a hospital or you have a practice.
Right.
There's like
Yeah.
no in between stuff. So that's actually very eye
Yeah.
opening.
Lots of options.
Wow. So I gotta ask because you're a doctor and like we're in the heart of COVID and we're
Yeah.
trapped inside. So what are your thoughts on the vaccine?
Ha. Controversial among my people. This
Yeah.
vaccine, I tell you,
Yeah.
this whole pandemic has been controversy. So I will say, in the beginning of this, when they initially introduced the vaccine, I was very reserved. So I wasn't recommending for or against because I wanted to read the literature myself.
Mhm.
So it took me a few months, but I was able to get my hands on the Pfizer paper.
Mm-hmm.
Have not gotten a chance to look through all of the Moderna paper, but I've gotten snippets of information. Okay. In terms of the vaccine at this point, I am okay recommending it to people with certain medical backgrounds. For me to recommend it to people kind of blanket statement, I'm not there yet, okay, because I want to make sure that in terms of your own personal medical history, there's nothing out there that's kind of standing out to me. Now, for people who are administering the vaccine, they actually get to go through additional special training, and I have not been able to do that yet. So that unfortunately gives me a little bit more reservation too, because there are people that I've talked to who've done this additional training who have said, yeah, there are some allergies that come up in terms of the vaccine where we don't recommend it for people, but they haven't been able to give me a full list.
No.
Based on what I see though, if you are a healthy individual that has no past medical history, you don't take any medications, you're healthy, no issues, you can take the vaccine. If you are a person who has any type of chronic illness, so high blood pressure, diabetes, or any type of health issue that's kind of affecting your general immunity, I would recommend the vaccine for you, right? Just to give you the extra protection. So it's the people in between where I usually have a conversation with them, and right now my recommendations are, if you're a part of those two groups, go for it. If you're somewhere in between, I go through specifically your health history. I address the main concerns and kind of the main benefits of the vaccine, and then we go from there. basically, I think the vaccine is going to be a good benefit for most people because it's going to prevent you from getting very ill in the long run. And really, with the COVID actual infection, I've seen a lot of people recover well from it, but I've seen also a lot of people that have these lingering symptoms that I now have to send them to cardiology, fertility clinic, neurology, all of these different specialties just to investigate what's going on. So I don't like I don't like the way this virus behaves.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can prevent you from getting it with the vaccine, and a vaccine that I know exactly how it behaves, then I would recommend it.
So I know that a lot of people are talking about Pfizer,
Uh-huh.
but what about the Johnson and Johnson? I think that's the other large name that we've been hearing about on the news. And maybe I'd also like to squeeze in another question. Why has it been so difficult for you to get your hands on the information so that you can make informed decisions for your patients? Feel free to answer them in any order that you'd like to.
Right. So part of the issue of me having trouble getting my hands on the data is that I'm a community doctor. If I was connected with a university or a larger health system, I'd have an easier time getting a hold of that information. But when you're out in the community, you're like a little outlier that's kind of reaching out, right? So that's the main issue about getting the data. It just takes a little bit more networking though. In terms of the other vaccines that are coming out, Johnson and Johnson, AstraZeneca, I haven't been able to get my hands on the data for those. To my understanding though, they're not the same as the Pfizer and Moderna, where they're a messenger RNA based. They're parts of the virus that have been isolated and put into vaccine form, like we've seen with traditional vaccines.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that the side effect profile will be similar, but probably it will cause a bit of a lessened immunity just because it's not as specific as the Pfizer and Moderna ones.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, they're very intelligent. It's a very intelligent design because you're really making an exact replica of the protein that shows up on the outside of the virus. So the body has an opportunity to recognize it and recognize it well. And then you build your immunity based on that, which is why you can develop such good immunity or better immunity from the vaccine than you can from the actual virus itself. Whereas usually with vaccines, the opposite happens. You get better immunity if you just catch the virus, but this time it's opposite just because we're using this messenger RNA to give the cell instructions on how to build this protein, and then the cell releases the protein and your body's like, what is that? That doesn't belong here. And it can build an immune response against that and then store that immune response in its library. So if you're ever exposed again, it knows exactly what to do right away.
You look like you're thinking, Dre. Your mind.
No, I am. I actually had another question. Look, I love science. I'm not a scientific person, nor am I by any means any type of a medical doctor. But here's one of the questions that's out here in these streets, okay?
Okay.
Is this an organic thing, or is this something that somebody made somewhere that doesn't want to own it now that there's been these millions and millions and millions of deaths around the world? So I know that I don't want to put you in a predicament, because I do recognize that you're also, a chartered medical doctor, and there may be some things that you can't respond to. But if you can, maybe you can answer that question for the conspiracy theorists that say to themselves, that thing could never just be because we're cutting down the rainforest. Somebody was testing some things and whatever. Are you able to respond to that question?
I can respond to that. I know this.
Okay.
It's this whole concept of a pandemic, right? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of
Pandemic.
right. The
Yeah,
pandemic, right?
that's right. Yeah.
So I can't. I will say this, okay? I do think it is from a natural source, okay? Because in terms of the way viruses are very quote unquote smart. They know how to change, they know how to evolve, they know how to survive. Okay. Now, I mean, this isn't the first type of coronavirus we've seen. We had the SARS in early 2000, and then in the Middle East they had their own version of SARS called MERS. And each time we see that an emergence of this new virus when we have large herds of animals and people interacting. Okay, so it's this kind of back and forth between animal species and human species that kind of encourage viruses to change, develop, and then become more virulent or spread easily. So I do think this is a natural thing that's happened. Now, that being said, do I think that sometimes we're using this situation to bring in certain agendas? That is very plausible. Okay, I mean, and that's what we do. You know, when chaos happens, we tend to put procedures and plans in place to help prevent that. So I can see where people are feeling like, man, this is just some way to get more control over us because of the increased controls that are coming, right? But do I think it was planned? I don't think so.
Okay, so then, all right, so then let me go one more in, Didi. May I? Let you
Yes,
see,
go
I'm
ahead.
leaning in. Whenever the right shoulder is in the camera. So here's the thing that I want to know then.
Okay.
If this thing is a natural thing, it's as a result of the mixing of animals and people and maybe population density, whatever you want to say, why then disproportionately are there so many Black and brown people being infected, affected, and the mortality rate is very high? What is that all about?
Great question. So I will tell you that it's unfortunately it's kind of a setup, okay?
Okay.
Because outside of what coronavirus did was highlight some of the major socioeconomic issues that people of color face. Okay, from jump, no, from jump, people of color live in higher density areas. So we're living more in apartment complexes, townhomes. People of color live in larger families. So we're living in multi-generational families, grandparents, grandkids, all of that. We are working in essential services for the most part, right? We're doing spa service, hair salon. We're
domesticated
working,
work.
right? We're working at the gas station. We're working at the grocery store. We're doing a lot of the in-person work, and we don't have the same access to healthcare as our Caucasian counterparts, right? So most of us don't have a family doctor. In the States, most of us don't have insurance or enough insurance to cover regular visits. So because of the way that our society is set up, we definitely will get coronavirus more often, right? Because we're more susceptible. We have to go to work still. We're essential services. We don't get to stay home and work from home on the internet and socially distance. We don't get to escape to our cottage in Muskoka and set up our 5G Wi-Fi and still make our money. We've got to be here in the city, commuting on city transit, getting back and forth to work, and then we come home to take care of our grandparents or our parents, and we take care of our children who all then have to go to daycare because we have to work. So these are the compounding issues that people of color have to face, and coronavirus just went and highlighted it all. Like, this is what happens to you when you are in a lower socioeconomic status. Your health is affected, period.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. This is such a great conversation. Can I just tell you, my initial background was sociology. So as I'm listening to you talking about these issues from a social perspective, I remember one of my professors in my third year, I can't remember the name of the course, but he was just talking about the political economy. And in essence, that is the conversation that we're having right now. The way that our entire planet is set up, it often leaves people of color, Black people, brown people, Native people, in the type of industry where if something is coming quickly, we are going to catch it. Now, I'm not saying anybody else should be catching it, but I am wanting to highlight the reality that those that are going to watch this, they need to understand that part of what our challenge is that we are always frontline. And we're socialized, by the way, to be frontline, right? Mm-hmm. Especially as Christians, Seventh-day Adventists, we are servants. Now, that's not a bad thing, but there's a certain level of connectivity to people that servants and service comes along with. So I appreciate your answer, Doctor. Wow, I hope we can do this again, because right now you got my brain is on overload.
I know, we can tell.
I can see it.
I know. That's all I'm like, this is.
I can see it. Woo.
It's amazing.
You don't even know. This is a great conversation.
It is a really good conversation. Now, Dr. Lambert, you mentioned you were in Mississauga. Where in Mississauga are you? And are you accepting new clients or new patients?
Oh, so
yeah, my question was not that difficult. Answer that one.
Right. So I am at Lakeshore and Cawthra Road. So for all of the people who used to go to the old Mississauga church that was at Lakeshore and Dixie, I'm like a couple blocks down from that. So it's an old neighborhood, which I love. It's being revitalized. Unfortunately, though, guys, I am not accepting patients right now. I am sorry. I am trying to grow this practice where I can get help. The practice has grown despite the pandemic. Praise God, it's grown to an amount where I am overloaded. And since this is TMI, I'm going to just show you a little bit of TMI.
TM, too much. Too much, dude.
We love it.
Let the church say amen. You know what? I should have known that. The way you were pushing your glasses backward, I was like, I bet she's pregnant. I bet she's pregnant.
He did not know.
Not a dad giveaway.
Oh, congratulations. Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you, Neil. You're going to have a brother or sister. That's nice.
Yes.
Congratulations. Good for you.
That's amazing.
That has put things on hold for sure. Yeah. So I'm looking for nurse practitioners or doctors to join this movement, I like to call it, because it's a different way to practice medicine. It's more relationship-based. I want us to get to know our patients and know what makes them tick and help them live healthier, stronger, empowered lives. So
definitely.
So can I add more people? Yes, I'll take more patients.
So then, if there anyone out here listening who's a nurse practitioner or a doctor, you've opened the door for them.
That's right. Jobs at i2healthclinic.com. Shoot me an email. Jobs at i2healthclinic.com.
Amazing. Amazing. You'll see some resumes coming your way, I'm sure.
Praise the Lord. So what I also want to say to my young people, especially teenagers, is this. You are young, And most of us decide on a career, but we end up switching it in our 30s and 40s anyway. So this is not necessarily going to be the career that you have to stick with for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
Your life is a journey, and finding the career that is meant for you and the one that God wants for you can sometimes take different paths.
Yeah.
What you want to do in grades 9 and 10 is think of what's the best path for me to take right now where I can work towards a certain goal, at least through until the end of university, that is going to allow me to make a livelihood for maybe at least 3 to 5 years afterwards. So think about that. And really, you don't have to limit yourself, because if you are fueled by passion, you will be able to work hard enough and do what you need to do to be successful, at least for that first career choice. So be brave and make a choice.
Right.
That's amazing. And I think that was good. We're going to end it right there. Be brave and make a choice.
Make a choice. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lambert. We learned a lot. Dre's head is still running over there. He has so many more questions, and I'm sure he's going to connect to you one-on-one so he can ask you everything that's on his mind.
I'm going to.
Right now.
I'm going to.
Thanks so much for watching That's Just TMI. Guys, this episode was so thought-provoking and motivational, and I feel inspired. I'm trying to figure out, should I be a doctor? But the passion, I need the passion. And for all of you, remember, if you're looking for an opportunity and you are in the medical field, the email is
jobs@i2healthclinic.com.
Remember that. We'll actually put it up on the screen as well so that you can apply, send in your application, and we're wishing you all the best. So till next time, we are thought-provoking.
Thought-provoking.
You gotta sing it with us.
Thought-provoking.
Till next time, we are thought-provoking.
Thought-provoking.
Motivational. Inspirational. Thanks for watching That's Just TMI. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye.